Yo, Adrian. Absolutely. Hey, Mickey. Bad Sylvester Stallone impersonation. This is Harry coming to you from the Live Oak Cemetery in beautiful Suwannee County. Yeah, can't beat that, man. They don't bother you, and I don't bother them. And I'm here to discuss a film series that I'm watching. I do this every so often. I'll pick a kind of different thing, and I got a Rocky box set in. Um, the other day, I have the original Rocky on a digibook form, and then I heard they remastered uh, the original Rocky because you know I got to have it remastered. I had to have it looking pristine, and which it did last night. It looked pretty good, better than the original Blu-ray. I'm still keeping that digibook though. Um, I saw Rocky back in 1977, so and I love the films. I do have my favorites. Rocky Four is probably my favorite, where the original Rocky is second, which it should be the opposite because I really love this film, but I always liked Four. But anyways, I'm going through the films. I'll be going through them from Rocky Two, Rocky Three, Rocky Four, Rocky Five, and Rocky Balboa, and then I'll be watching Creed and Creed Two. And I don't know if I'll do a video for all of these films, but I just wanted to give thoughts on the first Rocky, and maybe a little bit of history with it as well. So Rocky came out in 1976. I saw it as a 10-year-old in Bayshore, Long Island, up there in New York, at the I guess it was the Bayshore Theater. I can't remember the exact name of it. I have to look it up. But I frequented it a few times when I was a kid, and I was actually able to walk it up there. It was about a mile from my house, maybe a mile and a half, and I used to walk up there and go to the movies. My mother would give me like $5 and go see a new movie. So Rocky was the one that was out at this time. I had also worked on the elementary school. They had like a little paper thing, and I was the guy who reviewed movies. Believe it or not, I can't do a review now. I can barely talk during these videos and can't get my thoughts straight. But yeah, and so it was one of the first movies I did, which they didn't accept because it was a rated PG movie, and I couldn't review a PG rated movie for elementary school kids. And I remember going to the theater, walking up there, and I think it was a 6 o'clock showing. So I got out at about 8:30, but because it was PG, they wouldn't let me in unless I had an adult. And I was upset because they'd let me see Freaky Friday there. I actually took a girl on a date. I was 10 years old. Okay, so and I took her to see Airport 77, and I didn't have a problem getting in, but for Rocky, I had a problem getting in. So there was another woman there. I remember this distinctly, that she was a woman and she had a mom with two other kids. They were seeing another movie, and they said, "Well, he's with us." So I had to give her the money, and then she paid, for me to get in, and then she went, and her kids went to go see their movie, and I went to go see Rocky. So much for parental guidance. So I was blown away at 10 years old. I just loved this movie. It inspired me at that time. Now, because you can't tell because of the belly. Um, but that I want to be a boxer because my father was a boxer during the war, World War II, that is, and he boxed. And I guess he boxed during the railroad years. My father was a little guy. He was about 5'6", buck 40, 140 pounds all his life, maybe 135. But he was called, I guess they call it bantamweight or lightweight. And I told my dad, I said, "Man, I seen Rocky. I was just inspired, that the music and Bill Conti's music in the film, you know, and the running, the exercise. I wanted to do that. Shit, I can't do that now. Tried if I tried, but that's how it inspired me at 10 years old to do things, and then and it also gave me a thing, another thing, but showed me how you can to have nothing, because my parents didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have much of an education, and they worked, you know, low-paying jobs. After my father retired from the railroad from disability, low-paying jobs, and so we had struggled a lot and moved from place to place when I was growing up. And so we wound up in Bay Shore, and then when I saw Rocky, I was like, well, this guy, you know, he had nothing. He had no money. And, you know, he had his turtles and his fish and, you know, in his apartment. And then that's all he ever had, you know, and that's what he had looked forward to every day. And he's fighting just for pennies, you know, just to get by. So, and then to make it as a, to have the chance to be the American dream and become the world heavyweight champion against Apollo Creed, you know, that was, showed you right there, you know, and that inspired me at that time. You know, hey, Rocky can do that, I can do it, you know, it can happen. And pretty much that happened with Sylvester Stallone too, because, you know, he was a bit player. The only other movie that I seen him in at that time when I was a kid was called The Lords of Flatbush. With, you know, Henry Winkler was in that, and I've seen him in other little bit parts. The Prisoner of the Jack Lemmon movie. Anyways, the Prisoner of 42nd Street or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. But anyways, he plays Jack Lemmon chasing him through Central Park, and so, you know, because he was, Sylvester Stallone was a pickpocket. So he was just an unknown, you know, and he wrote his own script, and he had trying to sell it and get financing for it, and he got it, and on a shoestring budget, and the only big name they had in the movie was Burgess Meredith, really. Talia Shire, she just did the Godfather movies a couple of years prior, so she was in the film, and she was sort of a big name. But Burgess Meredith was probably the biggest that he had in this cast. And I think Talia Shire did a wonderful job as Adrian in all the films. But in this film here, Rocky was great. How she played a person who was socially awkward and did not... you know, she was taking care of her brother, just pretty much a spinster or old maid type scenario, but her brother always downed her. Paulie, such an asshole in this movie. I can't, Paul Sorvino? No. What's his, I can't think of his name. I always had a problem remembering Paulie's name, but he's such a dick in this movie. And I really wish, you know, Sylvester Stallone or Rocky would have just taken him out back and beat the shit out of him and just call it a day. But Talia Shire played very well character Adrian in this film. Very believable. Rocky's performance, Sylvester Stallone's performance is very real. It's a little dark, isn't it? You know, these are kids just trying to make a living and get through life, and it was so believable, so heartwarming. I always say Rocky IV is my favorite of the Rocky films, just because of the tension of it, the you know, the way it was played, you know, the hype around it, because I was a teenager at that time when it came out. But this one has, I guess this has to be my favorite, because a sentimental favorite, because it's just, the way it was directed, the music in it, the performances. Burgess Meredith as Mickey. I swear to God, hard ass. I've known people growing up like that when I was a kid in New York. People just like Mickey. You know, just the way he talked and didn't, told it like it was. Didn't cut corners. You know, straight to and honest. Not sure if I'm going to be doing any more for the other, videos for the Rocky films, but like I said, I was inspired to do this one because I just brought back a lot of memories of watching it again last night and looking good as it did. The other thing was the grittiness of Philadelphia, that whole '70s vibe, the grittiness, the performance, the music, everything. It's such a great film. And if you haven't watched Rocky, where the hell have you been? So you need to watch it. It's a great film. Pick it up. I got the box set. I guess it's back up to $29.99, but I got it for $19 on Amazon, $19.99, and it has all 5 films in it. It doesn't have the Creed films in it, or all 6 films, I'm sorry. It doesn't have the Creed films in there, but it's a great set, and it's a great film. It's been, the DVD or the Blu-ray has been remastered. The picture looks great. It's not so grainy as it was before. I don't know. A lot of it was just, I don't know, brought back memories. The fight scene too. Here I go. This is where I ramble, and this is why these videos last for long and put you to sleep. But the fight scene at the end. Actually, the one thing I noticed too about this film when I watched it last night, how quick it went. I guess it's because I've watched it so many times, and it was just so familiar to me that it just went by quick. And when I watched that fight scene at the end with Apollo, I was thinking, my goodness, I thought this lasted longer. And when I watched it, but it seemed short to me, but it was an awesome boxing scene. Can't ask for any better than that. And Carl Weathers' performance too, by the way, as Apollo Creed, his I don't want to say imitation, but his representation was more like Cassius Clay, or I'm sorry, Muhammad Ali. He reminded me a lot of Muhammad Ali. Maybe not so much the showmanship, but that mouth of his. It was great performance by him. Talia Shire, Paulie, who I can't remember his name, the actor. You think I would? I can't remember his name. But anyways, he played such a good bum, an asshole, a dickhead. He was, of all the characters in any of the films that I've ever watched, he is my least favorite. Okay? Just because he's abusive, he's controlling, he's drunk, he's the way he puts his sister down, because his life sucks, so everybody else around him, their life has to suck. And then he's trying to mooch off of Rocky, which he does. Rocky said, yeah, go ahead. If you can make some money off my name, go ahead. Guy's a shifter, trying to get a job with the Rocky. What Rocky's doing is a ball buster or knuckle buster, knee buster, henchman for the bookie, that loan shark that Rocky works for. Rocky carried him, and you see that progression. Paulie never really changes in these films that much. The only one that changes is when he died. Creed 2, go to his grave, if I remember correctly. So anyways, those are my thoughts, ramblings. You leave any comments. Tell me about your experiences with the Rocky films or the first Rocky. Um, what do you think? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, make a video, whatever you like. It's nice seeing you again. Take care. Bye.